Alrighty, and we are live. Greetings, salutations, welcome, and good whatever time of day it is, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the Junk Shop Library channel, home of the Big Green Hat interviews. Our inaugural episode is today. I have a very special guest with me who I will be introducing, and who will be interesting in just a brief moment. But first and foremost, I got to thank the fantastical patrons, the fantabulous folks, the motley crew who keep the channel afloat, keep the channel alive, and keep the channel improving, both with their financial contributions and with their ongoing feedback and moral support. In alphabetical order, those folks are the Atheist Pastor, Aunt Jur, B, Bill, Brainbug, Mark Caesar, Paul Cammish, Gary, Ilya Moon, Kim, Linda, The Lone Wanderer, Mama Atheist, Nikki, Rain, Robert X, and Santi. Thank you all so very, very much. It makes a tremendous, tremendous difference. Now, checking in with the chat time, we've got a nice large crew with us today. Thank you so much for joining us for the inaugural episode of the Big Green Hat interviews. And pardon me while I continually foots with my earbuds. I normally wear the giant fuck off headphones, but the big black headphones do not pair well with the big green hat, which was not something I thought about until we were literally just about to go live. More of that rampant professionalism you have come to know and expect, and I'm hoping more of the eccentricity you've come to love. We've got a bit of tea and Danish. We've got Micro Raptor. We have Laughing in Disbelief. Good to see you, my friend. Godless Granny and Never Again. Diary of Lydia is here. Good to see you. I hope you are well. Godless Sewing, Mark Caesar, the man from down under, in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning. I can never remember which. All righty. Well, glad to see everybody. I will try to keep an eye on the chat. Make sure and tag me if you have questions for me or for my wonderful guest, who I'm about to dial in right now.
Hi, John.
There you are.
Hello, and hello to everybody in the chat.
One and only Paul Cammish, my first patron, has agreed to be my guinea pig for the Big Green Hat interviews and has kept me on track trying to get this damn thing off the ground. Back in August, I said we were going to do it in September. It's October now, but just barely. Thank you, my friend, for continuing to remind me of the thing that I kept on forgetting.
Well, we got there eventually, didn't we?
We did indeed. We did indeed. How are you today, my friend?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, actually. I've had a couple of days off work. I'm supposed to be on nights this week, so I've got Thursday and Friday off, and I've got the weekend off. So yeah, I'm all right.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, we're going to open up nice and casual and not overly structured. Tell the good folks a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, I'm Paul. I live in the UK. I'm an atheist. I've just recently been described as an atheist activist by the one and only Antangelo, which I took as quite a good badge. Like I say, I live in the UK. I'm an atheist. I've never been religious, so I've never come out of. I don't have any sort of deconversion stories. I never came out of religion into atheist to be an atheist. I've never held any God belief whatsoever. Just recently, I've just started doing an atheist channel. I did an interview last week with a born again Christian called Matt, I'm hopefully going to be doing the second part of that interview this Sunday, but I'm not 100% sure when he's going to turn up, because he felt like it was a bit of an interrogation last week, which I don't think it came across that way, but he seems to think it was a bit of an interrogation. He wasn't too keen on the questions coming from the chat, because I'd already pre-told him the 4 or 5 questions that I was going to ask him, because I thought it was only fair to do that with it being his first time as well. So I've suggested to him this week that I said, I won't ask you any questions this week. I said, you can ask me the questions. I said, but I don't want you to tell me what they are, because I like to think on my feet. Plus, he sort of like accused me last time of having rebuttals pre-done, which obviously I didn't, because I didn't know what his answers were going to be. So this time I've asked him to ask me the questions, but don't tell me what they are prior to the show. So hopefully he's going to turn up on Sunday. That's scheduled for same time as this, 5 o'clock on Sunday. That's UK time.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that. We'll certainly hope that Matt decides to come around and give you a little interrogating of his own. I don't think it came across as an interrogation. You're having
I don't think it was, but it was the first time he'd been on a YouTube channel, so it might have felt that way for him. Yeah. He says he's going to come on. I spoke to him this week and sort of talked him round. So he seems quite happy to do that. He's also suggested that later on we could actually have a debate, which I was a bit surprised about. So yeah, if he wants to do that, I'm up for that. But we'll have to see how it goes on Sunday if he actually turns up this time.
Yeah, well, hopefully he will. I thought it was a great conversation. So
yeah, I thought it went quite well, to be fair. It wasn't. I wasn't too pushy with him, and I didn't feel like I was particularly argumentative. I was more telling him what I believed rather than what I thought he should. That's how I felt it went, anyway.
All right. So you've had a channel for quite a while, but you're new to the atheist activism scene, relatively speaking. So how did your channel first get started?
I started flying again a few years ago. I got my pilot's license. Prior to that, I was flying gliders. I started flying gliders in about 1999, just the beginning of 99. So I got my glider's license, and then a few years ago, I went and did my pilot's license. So I started posting a few videos of me flying on. So that's basically what it started off as. And then just recently, I did the interview with Matt, and then prior to that, I did one video about William Lane Craig. I was sort of like debunking a couple of things that he'd done. Before that, I'd done a video on the air rifles that I have, because I'm into target shooting, so I've got some air rifles. So I did like a video on that. Prior to that, since then I haven't done anything else. But yeah, what got me to do that is I was speaking to Ontangelo on his channel, and he accused me of being an atheist activist. And I said, well, I'm sort of denied it, said I'm not an activist. And he says, well, you are. He says, I've seen you on plenty of atheist shows. He says, I've seen you on the Daily Atheist Show, and I've also seen you on a show with the Daily Atheist Show t-shirt on. He says, so you are an activist. And I thought, well, yeah, I suppose he's right, I am. Rather than putting my own content out, I've been on a few shows talking to people like you. So yeah, I suppose I am a bit of an activist, which I quite enjoy the term.
So if you're going to take the grief, you might as well get the joy as well, right?
Well, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought we might as well. If I'm going to be accused of it, I might as well be guilty of it as well. So yeah, it's a bit different over here in the UK, though. I find it quite different to what it must be like in America, because in the UK, people generally aren't that religious, and if they are religious, they don't really talk about it that much. They're not highly religious. They might believe, but it's sort of like most of the time it's in the background. Growing up with me, we did have religious education at school, believe it or not. and we used to have what you call assembly in the morning. So we used to have to go to assembly, which is where they would tell you what was going to happen throughout the day or anything for the week. And then you used to do, there might be something read from the Bible, and you'd do some praying and sing a few hymns. So that was all the way through my childhood. And then in the senior school, we had religious education for the first 3 years. And then I think for the last 2 years, it could be an option whether you took it or not. Believe it or not, I actually took it purely and utterly because I found the stories interesting. And I could either sit and do maths, English, or geography, or something like that, which I wouldn't enjoy doing. Or I could sit in a class where somebody sits there, reads some stories, and then you talk about the stories. Which you're going to choose? I chose the religious education. So I actually did do religious education, and I did enjoy it. But in no point did it have anything whatsoever to do with my life. I joined the army, and when I joined the army, I put myself down as Church of England, which I was christened. So you know, that's the religion that I put down. But even then, I didn't believe any of it. I classed myself as a conformist. I conformed to what I thought that people expected of me. So yeah, Church of England. I got married in a church. Again, me and the wife both don't believe. But I got married in a church because it was either that or a registry office. And a registry office is basically just a government building which you go in, there's a room, and you get married there. Pretty bland, really. So I chose a nearly a 900-year-old church, village church, to get married in. It wasn't from my parish, and it wasn't from the wife's parish, so we had to lie to be able to get in. But I've got no problem in lying in church. So yeah, so we lied, and we got married in a little church. I've got 2 children. So we had both children were christened. Again, not due to the fact that me and the wife believed any of it. Purely and utterly, my wife's grandmother kept pestering after we'd had our son. You know, you need to get him christened. You need to get him christened. And we were like, well, we can't be bothered with the hassle of it. Then when the daughter came along, she sort of like upped it up a bit and really started giving us grief. And in the end, we just thought, oh, sod it. Let's just get him christened. We'll have a bit of a do afterwards and go to the pub. So we got both children christened. Again, neither of us believed in it. But again, I've got no problem whatsoever in lying in church.
Yeah. Well, if you don't believe anybody's up there watching you, what does it matter what you say in your head versus what you say in your mouth?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it sort of made the day, you know, like say a little village church or some boring government building. So we chose the little village church. And my kids, well, my wife's not religious. I'm not religious. My kids aren't religious. The only person in my family that is religious in any sort of way is my sister. She's religious, not Bible bashing. We don't even discuss it between me and her. She knows that I don't believe. I know that she believes. She never discusses the church, never discusses her beliefs, and we just don't get into a discussion about it. When she comes to visit or I go to visit, we end up talking about our kids or talking about my mother or my brother or other things in life, and religion just never ever comes into it. I don't think she's interested in having a conversation with me about it, so it just never happens. Do have one quite funny story, actually. The wife said to me one day, she goes, oh, I've got something to tell you. And I says, oh, what? She went, you're going to laugh when I tell you. And I says, why, what is it? She went, Sam's asked us, this is my daughter, Samantha. She says, she's asked us if a week on Sunday, if we're doing anything. I says, no, we're not doing anything. Why? She went, she's, you know, when on a Sunday morning when she gets up and says that she's going to the shops with her friend. So I says, yeah, she's been doing it for weeks. And she went, she hasn't been going to the shops. I said, well, what's she been doing? She went, she's been going to the church. So what she'd done, I think they'd got bored one Sunday and decided to walk into the church. And they basically got pulled in by the church, basically. So they'd spent weeks there and they'd been doing whatever Bible study it is. Never told me and her or her mother what she was doing. She just, we're going shopping today. And every Sunday about 9:30, 10 o'clock, she'd get up and off she'd go out and, you know, down to the church for 11 o'clock. And started, I don't know what they call it. Is it when they get, what do they call it when they is it confirmed when they get? I think that's what she got done. She got confirmed. So anyway, basically on this Sunday was a confirmation or whatever they call it. So I says, yeah, I says I'll go, because I've never really had much of a conversation with my kids about being religious or being an atheist. It was, again, it's like saying in the UK, it's just something you didn't talk about. So I was a bit taken aback when they found out my daughter had been going to the church. Not that I mind. She's, she can choose her own path in life. But I said to the wife, I says, do yourself a favour when we go to the church. And she says, what's that? I says, instead of sitting there like everybody does when you get to church, I said, everyone just waits for it to be over. Like when you've got christenings or weddings, everyone's thinking, when we get into the pub, checking the watch, and that's all they're interested in. They're not interested in the ceremony bit or listening to what the vicar has to say. But of course, when we went to this, we had to sit through the full service. So I said to her, just listen to what he has to say rather than just hearing this mumbling in the background. I says, actually listen to what he says. So she says, yeah, all right, then I will do. So anyway, we got there. So we're sat in church. There's me and the wife sat next to each other. My daughter's at the front somewhere waiting to go through this particular ceremony. And when I'm there, I could see out the corner of my eye this guy. Because basically, if you think of the church, you've got all the rows of pews going down this way. And then along the side, there's the pews going the opposite way. So when you're sat here, if you look, you've got pews sort of like facing towards you. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there was a guy and his family. So there was him, his wife, and his two daughters. His daughters were probably 15, 16 sort of year age. And his daughters and his wife are literally sat like that. And when prior to the starting, they must have had like hymns playing in the background and whatever. And the wizard picked them up every time every now and again, I could hear this sort of like, amen, and, praise Jesus. And I looked round and this guy's giving it all this, praise Jesus, and all this. I thought, we don't see that over here. Not being funny, but that's the sort of thing you see in America. That is not something people don't normally react in like that over here. And I'm watching, and his wife and kids are just sat like that. And he's giving it all this with his hands and whatever. So I nudged the wife. I said, look over there, this bloke here. He looks over and she goes, oh my God, he's proper weird. And he's giving it all this. And anyway, as it all started, the vicar was going through his sermon sort of thing. And when he finished that, the next thing was going to be when they did the confirmation or whatever they call it with his group of children. And he says, oh, you're lucky that you're all here today. He said, because we only do it once a month, and we do like a meet and greet. I thought, I have no idea what this is. So he just says, so if there's anybody near you or around you that you haven't met before, introduce yourself and whatever. So me and the wife had just sat there. Next minute, it was like something out of The Walking Dead. Everyone got up. Oh, it couldn't have been better. Seriously, it couldn't have been better. So look, everyone's going about and shaking hands and talking to each other. And the next minute, I could feel this arm on me, and the wife's literally got hold of me, and she's getting closer and closer to me. And people are coming up and sort of like, hello, I'm so and so, and shaking our hands and this. And the wife's she's like terrified, and you could look down the pew, and it was just like a horde of people coming towards us.
Oh dear.
Tracy, she was absolutely terrified. She got hold of me and she says, you've got to get me out of here. You've got to get me out of here. Anyway, the woman in front could obviously realise that Tracy was getting a bit, nervous about what was going on. And I'm stood there and I'm thinking, I'm going to have to start punching them as they're coming towards me. I have to start knocking them down because they were absolutely freaking the wife out. So anyway, they were sort of like sent away. They all went and sat down. We went through the service and everything, and what happened with the daughter. And when we left, we walked outside, and Tracy said to me, she says, that's it. She said, I'm finished. I am absolutely finished. She said, I am never, ever stepping foot in church again. She said, they're absolutely crackers, she said. So it frightened the life out of her. So, that was quite funny. It couldn't have worked out better. And then probably about 6 or 8 months later, I spoke to the daughter because I noticed she hadn't gone anymore. So I said, do you not go to church anymore? And she went, oh, no, we stopped going weeks ago. And I says, all right. She says, why is that? She says, well, it's a load of rubbish, really, innit? I says, all right. I says, don't you believe? She went, no. I said, did you believe to start with? She went, no, not really. She says, I was just bored, so we just went there on the Sunday. So she got confirmed, and she was virtually a non-believer, and if I speak to her now, she just goes, "Nah, it's just a load of rubbish. I don't believe any of it." So
Oh,
yeah, the whole of the
that's
family is now atheists.
Well, that's quite an arc, isn't it? Going and getting go all the way through confirmation and not buying
No,
it.
I think she'd sort of like she'd started it, and she was sort of getting dragged along with the flow more than anything else, and probably didn't know how to get out of it. So she went through it, and like I say, shortly after that, she stopped. She didn't go anymore.
That's so interesting, the story about the meet and greet, because we've got that over here. A lot of churches, especially the ones that are a little more hands-on, a little more, hey, praise Jesus. They'll have a time like that every week where they'll say, get up and sometimes they call it the passing of the peace or the greeting of the, each one's got a different name for it.
Yeah, it had some sort of a name like that. I can't be 100% certain of what he called it, because when he first said it, we weren't 100% what he was talking about. And that's why I think it sort of frightened the wife to death a bit more, because she didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Suddenly
and then all of a sudden, here comes everybody.
Yeah, like I say, it was just like The Walking Dead, like walking around the corner, and they're just like, it frightened the life out of him. I must admit, I thought, what the hell is going on here? And it's the first time I experienced it. But at that church, they said it was something they do. I'm sure it was like once a month. Because the only time I've ever gone to church is for weddings, christenings, and funerals. That's probably 80-90% of the UK. That's the only time they ever go. And a lot of people that
I remember those moments from back in my believing days, and it never bloody occurred to me, or to any of us, I think, how it would look to an outsider to suddenly be swarmed by all these people. So it's I love hearing it from the other side, and feeling a little bit embarrassed in retrospect for mobbing some poor bloke who didn't know what was going on.
It really did frighten the wife. She was actually, it terrified her. She didn't have a clue what was going on.
Oh dear.
And I mean, it was uneasy me. I was thinking, what the hell is going on here? And it was getting to the point I was thinking, I'm going to have to start punching people in it shortly to get out, because we had no idea what was going on. And I thought, if that guy from over there comes up, him that have been doing all the waving hands, he's first one that's going down.
All right, so you talked a little about what you've done with your channel in the past. I know you recently did a little bit of a I don't quite know what it's a debunking, I guess you'd call it, of some of Dr. Craig's interesting ideas about atheism. Are you planning to continue that series, or have you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look through the video. There was at least another 2 on there that I was going to speak about. So yeah, I'll probably do that. I ended up doing that interview with Matt last week. I'm hopefully going to do the interview with Matt this week, on this Sunday, and then see what happens after that. Whether I can do another one with about William Lane Craig. I'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, I've just started doing it. It's probably going to be slow. I might do one a week if I can, and see how it goes from there, and see how it builds up. And if there's much interest for what I do, then I'll do a lot more. But the problem is there's a lot of it's already covered on YouTube, isn't it? And I don't really want to feel like I'm copying somebody else. I suppose it's going to be hard not to, because there's going to be somebody out there that's done something relatively similar. So sure. I'll just have to see whether it ends up being popular or not. But yeah, I enjoy coming on stuff like this. So yeah, why not do something myself?
Yeah. Now, we first met, if memory serves, we met over on Chris's show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, on the
Daily Atheist Morning Show.
Yeah, and that's what really got me going onto YouTube. Prior to that, I used to go onto YouTube, but I didn't used to sign in. I only signed in when I was putting up my flying videos. So I was watching Chris's channel, and because you're not signed in, you can't go onto the chat. but obviously it was mentioned about the chat. But because you're not signed in, it doesn't come up with the chat bit. And I realised what was going on. There was other people watching live. I could see how many people were watching live, but I couldn't see the chat. But every now and again, he'd put one up, wouldn't he, with what people had said. And I thought, oh, I'll sign in. So I signed in, and that's when I started talking to people in the chat. And then I can't remember exactly how it came along that I ended up being invited onto his show. So then I went onto his show, and it was at the same time you was on. So that's how we met. And then obviously we're meeting you on that show. Then I obviously searched your channel. So then I started watching your channel, and then it's just grown from there. And to be honest, it's built up quite a bit of a community, hasn't it? We all seem to, sort of follow each other around onto different channels. There's always somebody from your channel that'll be on somebody else's channel, or then it's quite good. I've been on who else is? I've been on this channel now. Been on Chris's channel twice. This is the second time I've been on your channel as well. I've been on Grumpy Old Dudes. I was on Critical Cripples, Critical Questions. I've been on a bit of Tea and Danish on the Thursday when they do the live chat type show. Then I've been on Artangelo's channel, and I've been on Smoky Saints. I've had a bit of a interaction with Smoky Saint, and so far he's actually been all right with me. He's been quite pleasant, to be fair, but I think
that may have more to do with your approach.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably the case, because
you're
sometimes
not as combative as some of the atheists he normally faces off against.
Yeah, and I'm quite good at picking up on what he's doing when he's talking to you. He'll throw not so much of an insult, but a little bit of a dig in there to try and get your reaction. And I picked it up a few times. I thought he's after a reaction on that, so I've never really responded to it. And then a minute or two later, he'll sort of like throw it in again, and I thought, yeah, he's after a reaction, and I'm not going down that road.
Yeah. Godless Granny in the chat, wonderful member of the community, asked me to tell you not to be afraid to cover the same things as other people, because we all come from different angles and get different aspects. And if ever there was somebody who can point that out, it is our dear friend Godless Granny. When I first met her, she was covering Andrew Seidel's book on Christianity and the United States Constitution, which had been covered by, Seidel himself in a number of interviews, I want to say by Seth Andrews and several other people. But Granny came at it straight from a constitutional law perspective. And with her legal background, and went deep into some of the minutia of it, and somehow managed to make it entertaining at the same time. So that's well done. Sometimes it's just a matter of finding.
Enjoy watching her channel. Yeah, and she's right, really. I suppose. Yeah, I could probably do something similar to somebody else. I just don't want to be accused of copying somebody. And I suppose you get your ideas from watching other people, and you think, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I could do something similar to that. And then you think, yeah, but it might look too obvious that I've sort of got the idea from them. But like she said, we all come from you see it from a different angle, don't you, with each one? So yeah.
Andy from Laughing in Disbelief points out, creativity is overrated in the creative arts.
Yeah.
Got to address a question from me real quick, a little back in the chat. I think it was Linda asked, is there going to be improv Bible study today? Yes, there will be. That'll be at the normal time, 2 p.m. Central, which is 3 Eastern, which is 8 UK, 9 Belgium time, in the middle of the bloody night in Australia. So anybody who can come back to the channel then, we'll look forward to seeing you again.
And I shouldn't be in the bath when you do that. I've already had a bath today, so I shouldn't. Just every time you put your show on, every single time, I've just run a bath. So when it comes on, I always put, I'm in the bath.
Yes, we are all in the bath with Paul. That's one of our... Hey, Santi.
We should have done it today. Actually, we should have had me sat in the bath with the camera at the side just for a laugh.
Gone full Ricky Gervais with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to? I don't want to drag these out, to full hour length. I think people will. I don't think I've got enough questions, to be honest, to drag it out. So I think we're going to start wrapping it up. Is there anything you'd like to tell the people, to announce to the people, to disclaim to the people?
Yeah. Join me on Sunday at hopefully at 5 o'clock, and hopefully Matt will be on, and this time he'll be asking me questions. And I'm hoping that he's got some really challenging questions. I like challenging questions, ones that I can answer, obviously. But yeah, I'm hoping he comes up with some good questions, and I hope he turns up. I hope I didn't put him off last week.
Yeah.
But I spoke to him this week. He said he's going to turn up. I've told him that I won't be taking questions from the chat for him, so I won't be putting him on the spot. I said basically, I'll be in the hot seat. You ask all the questions that you want of me, and if any questions are in the chat, I'll get them directed to me, not you. So he said he'll come on.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that. One of my mods in the chat, if you can scramble up that link and drop it in the chat, I'd appreciate that. Everybody, make sure you're subscribed to Paul's channel. Get in on the ground floor of our favorite notorious atheist activist.
The thing is, I've started noticing, obviously, since I did the interview with Matt, that I have actually started getting a few more people subscribe. But I tell you what else I've noticed, and I don't know why it's happening, but I'll just go onto my Facebook page. I'm getting inundated with friend requests from people I have got no idea who they are. Friend requests. Let me have a look. See all. And they're all from like India area. But how many have I got here? I just don't accept them. If you look on there, you can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see how many there is.
Yeah,
There's
a whole lot of them. I don't know that we need to see the full names.
Yeah.
There. But yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. And it's all since I did that. Literally, the day that I did the interview with Matt, I've just started getting inundated. And when I go into them, they're all, Christians.
Critical Cripple says they may be a spam network.
Yeah. Yeah, stop accepting them. I don't accept them. That's the thing is I don't. If you look on them, I haven't declined them all, but I haven't accepted them either. Because they just keep building up day by day by day. I just keep getting more and more and more. I'll have to go down and just delete them all.
Yeah, I don't do Facebook, so I don't have any idea how that works. It looks really scary to me. Just people just always wanting, be my friend, be my friend, be my friend.
Yeah, Facebook was good. I think when it first came out, it was a good way of keeping in contact with people that you maybe haven't been in contact from like your school years, or like for me when I first went on Facebook, as soon as I put my details in, of course I had no friends at all because I just put my details in, but it was then throwing up people that I might know, and it was people from school, and I was like, how does it know this? Of course it's the information you put in. And then people from the army, and I was like, my God, I haven't seen nothing of him for 10, 15 years. So it's good for that, keeping in contact with people that otherwise you'd never see again. But yeah, it's got a bit full of conspiracy theory type stuff and utter rubbish, and it absolutely does me head in.
Yeah,
some of the utter rubbish, and I've fallen out with a few people on Facebook because of the absolute utter rubbish that they're sharing and believing. And yeah, it's frustrating. I keep meaning to get off it, but like I say, the problem with that is I'm going to lose a lot of friends that don't live in the country anymore. And I keep sort of like suspending my account and not go into it. But then if I totally get rid of it, I won't be able to use the messenger side of it, which I quite enjoy using. But I think when it first started, I think it was a brilliant idea. But it seems to have got a lot commercialised now. There's a lot of advertisement stuff on it, for utter rubbish.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you so much for making sure that I got off my bum and actually did the show. I know you've been more than patient with my my somewhat lackluster attempts to get this series off the ground.
Yeah, like you say, it must have been 2 months ago when you first said you were going to start doing it.
It was.
So
But
have you got anybody else? Have you got many other people lined up?
I've got a couple of folks who have reached out to me. I'm, they're in other continents, other hemispheres, a couple of them, and so scheduling is going to be an interesting adventure. Anybody in the chat, any of my subscribers, anybody watching this back after the fact who's interested in this format of getting to know you interview, reach out to me through Twitter DM, and we'll have a talk and see if we want to set something up. All right. If one of my mods could, I'm trapped in the StreamYard and I don't have access to the chat in real time. If one of my mods could make sure and drop Paul's link in the chat, it is in the description below if I did my job right, but I've been having some trouble with the StreamYard interface with YouTube lately, so I hope it's actually there. We've been going a little over half an hour, and I think we've about covered what there is to cover for a first episode and an inaugural interview.
Yeah, we probably have actually, because I've had an interview with you before, so there's a lot of things that I've already covered.
We have covered a bit, yeah,
and a lot of people in the chat will have already heard, a lot of my stories and stuff like that. So, yeah, there probably isn't really much else to talk about, really.
All right, so we'll wrap up here. Thank you, Paul, again so much for coming. Thank you all in the chat for hanging out and keeping us going. And as we always say before we roll out of here on the channel, everybody take care, be safe, and stand against hate.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again soon.